The next time you need auto parts and accessories, trust the parts professionals at the 30 Raleigh-Durham O'Reilly Auto Parts stores. Our professional parts people know what it takes to get the job done right. Professionals have counted on O'Reilly Auto Parts for decades. Now you can too. Professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Blog Talk Radio.
Howdy, race fans. How the hell are you? Steve Big Sweat Billmeyer here with you tonight, ready to guide you through another episode of Racing with Big Sweat. We're going to talk to 3 different drivers tonight, and I promise you it's going to be interesting. While I've got a moment, let me say hello to my partner in crime, the man who makes all this possible, Mr. CJ Sports. How are you, CJ?
I'm not doing too bad tonight, Steve. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm just waiting for this weekend, excited about seeing Darlington. It's going to be a good show.
Definitely excited about tonight's show. We got Chris that just called in the studio, so now we got Chris that just joined us.
Yellow caution flag, you there, bud?
What you say about there, Steve? What you doing, CJ?
How's it going?
How you been, bud?
Another day closer to race day.
There you go. What do you think's going to happen this weekend at Darlington?
I do want to make a real quick shout-out, Steve.
Go ahead.
To meet somebody really cool this week, and I told him I'd give him a shout-out. If you're around your phones right now, go Cancer on Facebook. Make sure y'all like that page. This guy's got a wrestling match coming up, and he's dedicated to fighting cancer. His daughter suffers from the type of cancer that the fundraiser's in an event for, and I just got to meet the guy, and he's just full of life, and signed on with us to do a few things. I think he signed on with y'all to do a few things as well.
We might have to get him on the show.
That's some Big 10-4, Steve. So, where are we going? What are we doing tonight?
Well, we've got McKenna Hasse, who is a sprint car driver and is, let me make sure I say this right, she is the first female to win an A-main at Knoxville in a sprint car. She won a feature there last season, real stout, and she's just starting college, so she's kind of hectic right now. We're just waiting on her to call in. We've also got Canadian driver Tim Shanahan that's going to join us. That drives in the Ontario Pro Challenge Series. So it'll be interesting to talk to somebody from the Great White North. And then bringing up the rear, we've got Wayne Goss. If y'all remember, Wayne was on a few weeks ago, and he's real knowledgeable and has a lot of insight on short track racing and what it's doing, where it's going, and how to get there. You remember him, don't you, Chris?
Oh, yes, sir, I do. Glad to talk to him again. I do believe he's the one from Widespread Media. No. He's the one from oh, man, the track over there, Brownstown, is that it?
Southern National Motorsports Park.
Okay, yeah, the one that was retiring.
Yeah, yeah.
Good to have him back on. He was a hoot for sure.
Yeah, he was, and he's a pretty sharp guy too. He's got a lot of good opinions.
Definitely.
Well, while we're waiting on McKenna, what do you think about Darlington? Who are you looking at this weekend?
All eyes on Joey Logano. He's going to be my pick now through the stretch. I think Joey's really got everything that he needs to be a champion. I think that this is his year. I'm hearing a lot about Kevin Harvick repeating. I just don't see Kevin Harvick really picking up the boat right now. He may hit a good spot, but, that Penske team's waiting to break out. And the captain's already got one championship under his belt. I think the second one's going to come a lot easier.
There's probably three things I'm looking at this weekend. I want, first of all, to see if Joe Gibbs Racing continues to put on this chokehold of the rest of the NASCAR one more week. Was it just a fluke? Was it just the month of August that this happened, or is this something that is seriously going to influence the way this chase plays out? Also, is Hendrick Motorsports going to get their stuff together and kind of show up for this chase? I'm kind of curious to see that. I think the biggest thing I'm looking for this weekend is seeing the old school, them going retro this week with the cars.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So
cannot wait to see that.
Yeah, it's going to be good. You were talking about your pick for the championship and everything. You think Joey Logano's going that way. But like CJ said, who's the hottest team right now? JGR. So you got to go with them. And who has the most victories at JGR? Wouldn't have to be Kyle Busch, would it? All the stuff that he's gone through this year, and to come back and win 4 races, they ain't going to stop him. He can go ahead and clear a spot on the shelf for that championship trophy.
Kyle Busch has always been his worst enemy, Steve. They talked about the new Kyle. The new Kyle, the new Kyle got married and has a kid, but, he's been his own self-destruction so many times before. It may be his year, but I've watched him and Joey Logano both duel it out together when they were on the same team. And I think this year it's going to come down to those two guys. I really do. I think it's going to come down to those two guys. And if Kyle Busch wins the championship, everybody's going to say, but he didn't race all the races. And I'm just really not sure if NASCAR is ready for that to happen. I think that they're really going to have to second look at, no doubt he's done what he was asked to do, but they're still going to have to look at this and really ask themselves, can they make somebody eligible for a chase that missed 11 races? It's kind of one of these drivers in the back end is going to get kicked out. And, their argument's going to be, I raced 34 races this year. So, you're always going to have that backlash. Well,
NASCAR laid the foundation for this when they first announced that exemption rule. Because everybody's got one. Every year somebody gets one.
I haven't seen one denied yet, as a matter of fact. Good point there, Steve.
They they hand them out like hall passes. It's kind of lost its real true meaning, and I don't think it's as big a deal anymore. I think NASCAR having to look at trying to explain Kyle Busch's situation is really no worse than last year when it looked like they had promoting you got to win to get in about the chase all year, and it almost was won by Ryan Newman, who didn't win a race all year.
Hey,
I think they've already got some PR people working on this, and I guarantee you if Kyle Busch wins that evening, they'll have an announcement about it.
Yeah, it definitely has to be like a very bonds. Yeah,
which label would be worse to have? I know a lot of people label Jimmy Johnson. The only reason he has these championships is because of the change in the chase instead of the old format. And I don't know the exact stats, but I know if not all, or at least most of his championships, he wouldn't have won if it would not have been for this chase format. Or would it be worse to have the label that you won the championship even though you didn't have a complete season? Basically, you won a rain-shortened season, basically.
I just really think that one's going to aggravate the fans more than anything. In the long term, it sounds good right now, but we have 3 months in between seasons to hear how the nation really feels about Kyle Busch if he goes home with the upset. I say upset because I think about how upset Kyle Busch gets every time that he loses a championship. So to me, the upset will be Joey Logano winning because Kyle Busch is the man to beat. Like I said, he's always been his own worst enemy, and I think it'll come down to that again this time.
Well, at the shock of Mr. CJ Sports, let me throw a baseball analogy in here. It's no worse, to me, him being labeled not running 11 races to win the championship than Bobby Bonds breaking Babe Ruth, his home run record. And then they got a little star beside it saying, well, he used steroids. Well,
I kind of see that
but
similar in this situation, right?
Yeah, he still had to put the bat on the ball. I mean, there took some basic ability. I don't know. In the rule book, when you look at Wikipedia in the rule book, it'll say 2015 Kyle Busch, and then it'll go right on to 2016. Probably won't say anything about the problems he's had this year.
Now, we're speaking of Kyle Busch. Now, I've noticed that the crowd opinion, the fan base has kind of changed a little bit. It's not so severe in the booing. I'm not saying he's popular by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he's gained a little respect since this all has happened. At the end of the season, he wins this championship. Does he gain more fans becoming the champion and his new way of how he's holding himself, or does he create more haters because he won a championship he did not go the complete season with?
CJ, I'll let Steve answer this one because you know what I'm going to tell you.
I don't think he'll gain that many new fans, but he'll give his fans he's already got something else to brag about. I don't think it's going to bring him in a whole lot of new fans. I think the fact that he got married and had a baby brought in more fans than anything he's going to do for a while.
Yeah, I agree.
Let me hear what you think. Caution flag.
I have to agree with what you say there, Steve. I think that I, as a longtime fan and a longtime not Kyle Busch fan, I pulled for him because it seems to be Darrell Waltrip, when he flipped over, wasn't the bad guy anymore. Earnhardt gets into the fence at Talladega, turns upside down, or whichever one that was, broke his neck and his shoulder. He wasn't. People didn't lash out at him as much anymore. But if you want to create more lashing, do something that fans didn't agree with in the first place, and that's going to cause more haters, I believe, to the Kyle Busch camp than ever before, because then you're going to have 3 months to simmer on the fact that you didn't really have a championship this year. You had a playoff. It's not a true Cup championship if a guy doesn't race all the races. I mean, it would be the only championship, I think, in any modern sports, in any modern stock car sports, where if you didn't complete, a certain amount of races, you were nowhere near in competition for a championship at all. So I hope the best, and I would hate to start the stir of the Kyle Busch haters, because to be honest with you, he's earned my respect. I'm just betting on the fact that Kyle Busch will have his mental breakdown as he always does in the chase, and you'll see him out of it halfway through it.
Under the old point system, missing one race would just about make it impossible to come back from that and win the championship. So the people that don't like the chase, that want to go back to the old style point system, this is a valid argument for it. Under the old system, if he'd have missed 11 races, he'd be on page 2.
Right. Very, very, very good point. Excellent.
And this is one of the drawbacks to the chase. I mean, it just doesn't take as much now as it did before to get into the chase, to get the championship. and I just think I like the chase and everything, but it's just got too many loopholes in it.
They could definitely tie in some loopholes on that. I've seen this coming before it even aroused, and I think I've mentioned to you guys, how are you going to penalize a rookie that wins the Daytona 500 in a third car when he's not even scheduled for the full time, but yet you say he's eligible for the chase? Well, if he's running for a nationwide championship and he's not running for a Cup championship, then if he wins that Daytona 500 in a third car, he's not eligible for the chase because he's not claiming Cup championships. And I think that's a hard deal to press on a young kid, especially when we've seen a Ryan Blaney and a Trevor Bayne already do what they've done. I mean, unfortunately, Trevor didn't get the full-time ride right after he won the Daytona 500, but just like last year, Ryan Blaney was told that if he won the Daytona 500, he would be racing the rest of the year in Cup. So
that's a good incentive. Speaking of young drivers, the more he gets interviewed on TV, the worse he looks. And that's Eric Jones. Eric Jones constantly whines about lap traffic getting in his way and lap traffic slowing him down. And this past weekend, he was in second, and I remember who was leading, but he had a car in front of him and a car behind him in third that weren't running for the championship, and he was just whining about that. He didn't think that was right, that they were blocking him. And earlier this year, it was lap traffic not getting out of his way. And I'm surprised somebody like somebody in the truck garage hadn't walked up to him and told him, "Shut your mouth, Rook, just drive." Because they don't put up with a lot of talking and everything if you're a rookie in any of the top seasons. So, if somebody takes you out, you just shut up and say, "Well, I lost it," and that's how you get respect in the garage area. It might not be true, but in the long run, that's the way to play the game.
Another hot topic this last week has been Jennifer Jo Cobb and the cell phone incident. Why, knowing how serious NASCAR takes this, why would you even think that it would be smart, knowing that all the cameras are on you, to allow anybody to see you have any kind of electronic device? That just really blew my mind that it was so out in the open, and she just la-di-da-di-da and showed the world, and it's costing her now.
She probably was afraid that she'd get caught texting Mike Harmon. Snapchat's the son of a gun,
I think she might have just had a brain fart. You remember, Brad used to take his phone with him, and he'd get on Twitter at, I think it was Daytona, when they had a red flag, and she just thought that was still all right. But NASCAR ain't putting up with that. They have a rule in the rule book that says no digital devices at all.
These drivers have enough money to get a driver's suit so that they can have its own little private pocket there. Lack of funds and experience is what got Jennifer Jo Cobb caught, because I guarantee you she probably turned in a list of names. Knowing Jennifer Jo Cobb, she turned in a list of names of other drivers that had cell phones in their trucks too. I just can't ever get past this whole deal with her and Mike Harmon. I really can't, because it was all over a boyfriend. And
it's like this. Every year it's something with her that's not racing.
Hey, if it gets her next sponsor, so be it. Because if I was a cell phone company, I'd sponsor her.
When I heard about that, I can't think of what driver it was, but had his car stolen in Atlanta. She was the first person I thought of that would be behind that.
Yeah, the old Cavapo machine. Actually, we did a little bit of investigation on that team, and it's funny that we haven't heard anything else about them, the Extreme Motorsports, because there was probably more than just that car coming up missing that was going on, that was fishy going on around that camp. If you'll go back and do some of your own journalistic investigations, it was definitely more to the story.
Yeah, I heard they had some unpaid bills and things like that they were trying to avoid also.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the sponsorships and everything else. I'll tell you what, Danica's not slowed down with the picture taking, and even after getting her sponsorship, still all over the public eye right now.
Yeah, she is, and it's good to see. And tying in what we were just talking about in that, everybody talks about how much better and more deserving Jennifer Jo Cobb and Joanna Long are of a deal than Danica is. Well, my question is, why didn't they get the Nature's Bakery money then? Why did Danica get it and they didn't? They all three had the same shot at it.
That's right. It's marketing. Look at how she makes herself available.
I really wish she would make herself available. Love me some Danica.
We can tell.
Ricky Stenhouse is from Mississippi, so I got one going for me. She likes Southern boys, I guess. My wife's over here getting mad already. Danica, she's made herself marketable. You think about in racing. You've always had the top guys. And at one point in time, I think it was Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip. Another time it was Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, and Rusty Wallace. Well, there's only about 3 to 4 guys that actually stand up and are on every commercial, every other words about them. You think about Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, how you just don't hear too much about them anymore. But it's always in the news what Dale Earnhardt's doing. It's always in the news what Danica Patrick's. When you have that kind of market availability and the way that she markets herself, I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of recognition that she's gotten. I think she's more popular in NASCAR than she was in IndyCar, and I'll finish with that.
Yeah, definitely so. And you talk about marketability, I don't follow her, and I'm not that big a fan of her, but I know she went on vacation this past week with Ricky and sister and a couple of other girls. Every day on Facebook there was pictures of her on vacation. She's either in a yoga pose or she's surrounded by her girlfriends, and they're all wearing bikini tops. But
Well, you remember
I knew all about her weekend and everything just because it was all over Facebook.
Casey Kane used to be just as marketable. He was everybody.
Oh, yeah.
It was unreal. I mean, he had everything from razors to State Farm insurance to whatever his main sponsor was, Budweiser. He was the young gun. Yeah, he definitely had that marketability. So it's nothing unusual out of racing or NASCAR or either one. It's just she's lucky enough to be in that top 3 category. She is, and her sales are boasted out of this market. The only person that's even close to her is Dale Earnhardt, and she has on Twitter more fans than Dale Earnhardt. So it's ridiculous how marketable she really is, and how easy it is for these Fortune 500 companies to make a buck off of her body and her name.
It's going to be interesting this year to see who gets the most popular driver award, because both Junior and Danica are real popular. They've got their big legions of fans and everything, and you've got social media heavily involved in it now. So Junior's had a long run, I think 7 or 8 years in a row, and it'll be interesting to see if Danica can knock him off the throne.
Danica may be able to, Steve. She may be able to, Steve, but if she gets in the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt Jr. and spins Jr. in a chase race or something like that, she'll go right back down. So she's really gonna have to play this one pretty for the next couple of years and make sure she stays out of Junior's way during the chase.
Well, her and Junior already had a little tussle a few races ago when Junior didn't have any brakes and spun her out going into the corner. So I don't think there's a whole lot of love lost there between the two of them to start with. I think they kind of grit their teeth and tolerate each other since they're both semi-teammates with SHR being a satellite operation. But I don't think there would be any information sharing between the two of them. I don't see any Christmas cards being exchanged between the two of them. But if she can knock him off that throne, she might be able to take a run at most T-shirt sales title.
Now, Steve, since you wrapped that up, we got Tim Shanahan in the studio for you.
The Canadian is here. All right. Well, let's bring him out and talk to him, folks. This gentleman is Tim Shanahan. He races in the Ontario Pro Challenge Series. And not Ontario, California, but Ontario, Canada. Tim, how you doing tonight?
Just fine, Steve. How you boys doing?
Oh, finer than hens, Steve. We're having a good old time. What's it like up there where you are?
Well, it's been it's been over 100 since last week. It's hot.
Oh, geez. Hasn't been this hot down here.
Yeah, I was just going to make a suggestion, Steve. If you have Ricky over for dinner one night, you might want to clear your search history on your computer before he comes over.
Yeah, I'll be inviting him real soon.
Oh, dear.
Him and I kind of know each other from being in the same group, NASCAR and other racing, so we're quite familiar with us, but let's give these other people some information on you. Tell us about the series you run in.
It's a traveling series. The stock cars are like we travel around southern Ontario, usually within a 3 or 4 hour radius of Toronto, kind of thing. But it's a lot of fun. I mean, they're good people in our group. It was kind of odd. Like I started racing probably 40 years ago. My dad raced, my brother raced. My brother ran midgets, and then he moved up to the super modifieds at Oswego. But when it was my turn, he's 6 years older than me, so when it was my turn to start racing, things got a little expensive, and I couldn't afford to do it right away. But went out and built like a street stock, and then a Thunder car, and late model, and he ragged on me for years. He says, "You got to try dirt. You got to try dirt." So we built one, kind of unique, 74 Javelin for
there you go.
The Dirt Pro mods. We ran over in New York State at Ransomville and then back in Merrittville in Ontario. But I'll tell you, I've never had that much fun. I mean, they didn't pay any money, not like the asphalt guys, but you didn't do it for money, and you're doing it for fun. You're having a whole lot more fun on dirt, I'll tell you. But, then
you're back on asphalt now?
What's that?
Are you back running on asphalt now?
Yeah, I took a break. I had a daughter, and then the second daughter came along, and it got a little hectic, so I stopped racing, and it's kind of like, well, probably like a drug. You just gotta pull yourself away and stay away from it. And I did that for nearly 15 years, or 12 or 15 years. I just got away from it altogether. And then I guess it was actually my wife who said, well, I guess the girls were probably around 12 or something, the oldest one. She suggested going out to a track because they'd never seen a race live, and we took them out to a local short track, and this series was there. They were just starting out. They'd only been around a couple of years at that point. And the cars look really nice, and they're very competitive. They run sealed engines, and all the chassis are built down in North Carolina on the same jig. So it's all about your setup and your style of driving. So it intrigued me, and I followed them. I became their groupie for the rest of that year because I did speak to it was actually a woman who ran the show, her and her husband, and she was telling me about how wonderful all the guys are. They all get along, and there's no fighting or arguing. And I said, yeah, I've never seen that in racing. So I didn't believe her. I followed them for that whole year and went to every race. And then at the end of the season, they invited me to their banquet, and it was at the banquet I actually bought the car off of one of the guys and started running. We've been doing that for about the last 6 or 7 years now. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Any thoughts about putting your daughters in the car?
I'm trying to keep her out of it.
You can't do that.
The oldest one, she's like Daddy. She just, everything I ever touched or did, she would just mimic me. And I mean, even going to public school, I felt like the world's worst father because I went in and teach a parent. And I guess that was her last year of public school. She's in grade 6, and she was leaving. And the actual gym teacher came into where I was talking with her homeroom teacher, and the gym teacher came in, and he said he'd been trying to talk to me for the last couple of years, but always kept missing me, and he was wanting to talk to me about Samantha, my daughter, and just to ask, like, was I the one that taught her how to play football? And I kind of looked at him, and I said, what? And he said, well, you must have played football. And I said, I did. And he said, were you like the quarterback? And I said, well, I was in high school, and then I moved on from that. He said, well, you can throw the ball just like a boy, so you've done a good job. I said, I didn't show her how to throw any football. And he says, well, she's the quarterback on the boys' team, and the boys are afraid to catch it because she throws it so hard. and she did the same thing. I kind of took up when I got out of the race car for those 10 years or so. I had to busy myself, and I started buying woodworking machines and stuff. Got into that, keep my mind off the racing on the weekends, and the next thing I know, she's in high school and she's taking wood shop and stuff, and now she wants to get into her own renovation business. So she went to college and took all that stuff, and it just seemed like anything I wanted to do, she was going to do it. So when I got the race car, she was already asking, when you get out, can I get in? And so we do have that deal. But Dad's in there for another year or two anyways.
No doubt. That's a pretty good deal. If you look around, there's a lot of father-daughter combinations in racing now, a lot more than in the years past. It's good to hear, though, that it keeps the family close together, and she kind of sounds like your shadow. She's following everything you do.
I got 3 of them now. So
what kind of work do you do?
I'm an engineer / sales kind of thing. It's in the hydraulics world. We go out and play on all the big Tonka toys, the earth moving equipment and whatnot, and design the hydraulic systems in those, and then we sell them. And once we get the design done, we'll sell them. And but that keeps you. I don't know. I'm all over Ontario. Like today, I was a 7-hour drive out in the morning and back tonight had to go and do some troubleshooting on a piece of equipment, but. It's interesting. You get to see a lot of different machines and stuff, and it does keep you busy, but kind of self-sponsored on the race car there. So.
Oh, really? So it's all on you, huh? You have anybody to help you at your shop?
No, actually just the friends in the series, we got together, so there's 2 or 3 of us that are under one roof, and we kind of help each other, and like I've been having a heck of a time the last 3 or 4 weeks with the engine, and got some valve issues, and stuff just kept going on and going wrong. And I turned around the other night, and the guy said, "Look, let's just put he's got a spare engine, and he's given me his spare engine to put in for the last 2 races of the season." So it's the kind of guys they are. I said, "Geez, I don't think I can afford it if I blow it up." And he said, "Well, if you blow it up, that means I would have blown it up. So whatever happens to it would have happened to it. Don't worry about it." And
that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, they're a good bunch of guys, but the company I worked for, it was an interesting deal. I did approach them for sponsorship. I mean, I got their name on my car. It's an American company. It's a pretty big company, but we talked about it.
Give them a shout out.
It's SunSource Hydraulics. It was an interesting deal. We had one of our engineers who worked down in Savage, Minnesota. It was one of the big offices we have. He was into motocross racing, like he was semi-pro, and the company did sponsor him. He asked for some money, and they gave him some money, and he got himself in there, and he was doing real good. And then he had an accident, and he actually broke his back and got paralyzed. Well, the company didn't stop there. They put in the ramps, and they actually put it in an elevator in the office so he'd get up to the second floor and did all that fancy stuff. And they held his job for him for a year and a half, and he finally came back and he started working. He worked for a couple of months, and then he went to the competitor. And then that wasn't enough salt in the wound. He turned around and he sued the company and won, because the company enabled him to actually get on that bike and race it, and that's why he broke his back. And I thought, oh my God.
Oh, that's the way to get caught up.
Yeah.
You can sue for anything down there, I tell you. And of course that's about as far as my quest for sponsorship went with them. They said go talk to the legal department, and it ended right there quick. But no, it's
his last name wasn't Ward, was it?
I wouldn't even. I'm not going to tell you his name. I'm not happy with him. Put it that way.
No, we don't care who it was anyway.
Yeah.
We'll find him on Google.
Right, exactly.
Ain't that right, Chris?
That's right. I want to know more about this 74 Javelin. I mean, how lucky can you be to race a 74 Javelin on dirt? How does that feel?
It was a handful. I mean, I'll tell you what. My brother, he pushed me into that deal, and I kind of finally got up the nerve. I said, okay, let's just do this. We went up there the first night, and I mean, I'm not lame when it came to dirt. I knew nothing. It just looked like a lot of fun, so I had to try it. I remember walking across the track, or walking out on the track, and it actually tore the sole off my running shoes. It was that tacky. I was like, holy crap. And I went in there. The first thing I did was go and buy the tires, of course. And you go over to the tire truck and you try and pick out 4 tires, and he just throws them on the dirt in front of you and asks for the money. And I said, well, aren't you going to mount them? He kind of laughs. He said, that's your job, buddy. Well, what the hell am I going to mount those? I'm a spoiled asphalt boy, Jesus. So it was a rude awakening. But we got out there, and I'm not too sure about tire pressures or what to run. And I did ask the one guy beside us what to run for tire pressures. He said, well, I don't know. We run about 8 pounds on the left and 14, 15 on the right. And I just looked at him. I thought, well, you son of a bitch, you're trying to wreck me. Nobody can run that kind of pressure. I was running 40 on the asphalt, so I didn't believe him. So we cranked it up. We put in about 25 on the right, and 18 or something on the left. And I went out there and skated all over the place. So I started to believe. And I started dropping the pressure. And I dropped the pressure, and I kept dropping it. In the heat race, I told my buddy, I said, geez, the thing feels a little better. And I said, we should drop it some more. And then we got down to that 8-pound mark on the left, and I said, well, if it's that good at 8, let's drop it some more. And we did. And I don't know if I got it down around 6 pounds or something, but I remember coming through 3 and 4 to take the green flag and ripped through that turn. And went down the straightaway and turned left, and it didn't turn. It just went straight into the guardrail. And I buggered up my hand in the steering wheel. I don't know what I did, but the medical guys came over, and my arm's on the right side of the car, and I can't move it. I'm like, what the hell? And I got this burning pain in my hand and stuff, and the feeling came back, and I finally brought my arm back over. The medical crew got there. You okay? And I said, I think I'm okay. Just my hand, my fingers are cut off or something. And they said, well, hang on a second. Cut that glove off. I said, no, don't cut that glove. That's $70. Just hang on. And I pulled it out, and the fingers were going every which way. And then the tow truck came to get the car, and he heard me telling, finally the guy that was helping me on the crew came over, and he said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I don't know. It just didn't turn." And the tow truck guy came and looked at me and says, "What, are you kidding me?" He says, You didn't know you lost your left front tire coming out of 4? And I said, "What?" He said, "Tire came right off the rim." And I'm used to asphalt. That was like driving in a cornfield to me. I couldn't feel anything in the car. That was the first thing I said when I came in. "How's the car feel?" I said, "Damned if I know. I can't feel. I'm getting bounced around." But it was the greatest. I'm so glad that I did do it. And I'll tell you, I was telling that story the other night to somebody about going down there. Once I'd mended, we had a problem with the carb on the car because we were running they made us run the Rochester. We got by for a little while running a Holly because they'd never seen a 360 AMC engine. So you go to tech and the guy just looks at you and he said, "Is that legal?" And I said, "Well, of course it is." It wasn't. We had the 402 heads on there, and we had the Holly carburetor. He says, "You got to run what came with the car." And I said, "Well, the Hollys came with those cars," which they were an option, but they figured that out about 2 weeks in, and then they gave us hell and said, "Get that carb off and put a Rochester on." I said, "Okay." Did that, and when I did that, we'd go through the turns, and the bowls would empty, and I'd come out of the turn and have nothing left, and then it would sputter and pick up, and we were chasing it that night trying to fix that, and we kept working on the carbs, trying to figure out what was wrong with them, and that track there, what they'll do is they line you up in the pit area, and when the heat before you is over or future, you go straight out on the backstretch and come around, and they give you one to go. So you don't really get 2 or 3 pace laps. You're going to be going the next lap. Well, we were working on the carburetor. They called our number up and said, "You're out. Your feature's out on the track." I said, "Okay." And a buddy there says, "Get in the car and get strapped in." He says, "I'll finish this." So he finished nailing on the carburetor, and he buttoned down the hood, and I got strapped in, and I took off out of the backstretch. Well, they'd already taken the green flag on the front, and they were coming around. And I just joined in the back, went tearing through 3 and 4, down the front straightaway full bore, and it was perfect timing. I was right in the pack, and all of a sudden all hell broke loose in front of us. Cars were going every which way, and I went to put on the brakes. I lifted my foot, and the throttle stuck wide open. I'm like, "Holy cow, this will be big." And I tried to hit the kill switch, but this is only our 4th or 5th night in the car, and I realize now that I'm strapped so tight to the seat and the way we set up the dash, I couldn't reach the kill switch. I spun it down through the infield grass, and it was kind of funny. They must have thought I was an idiot. I was sitting there doing donuts like full throttle, going in circles, and I finally got that kill switch shut off. And then I got out of the car. When I shut it off, I looked up, and on the chicken wire, I can see 2 throttle springs. I thought, "You bugger!" You got everything put back together, but the throttle springs. But they came across. Well, I got out of the car, and I took the hood off the car, put the throttle springs on, got back in the car, and just about then the pickup truck pulls up and tells me I'm disqualified. I'm not allowed to get out of the car. And I was arguing for a while, and he said, no, you're disqualified. You're out. We're pushing you into the center of the infield here, so get in. They started pushing me, and it's pretty dark there. And they have at Ransomville, they have a quarter-mile track inside the half-mile, and they use the front straightaway as part of it. So I thought to myself, I'm not going to sit down here in the hollow. I'm going to go up there and watch the race. So he's pushing me, and I got a good head of steam up, so I just turned left to go onto that little track. And he's honking his horn and flashing his lights, and I'm trying to figure out what's his problem. And I just kept rolling. I rolled up on the track, and they didn't follow me. And I sat up there on the backstretch of the quarter-mile track, and there was like a rider rental truck, 4 or 5 people going in and out, and I can just see, I can only see the silhouettes because the lights for the racetrack are now shining straight in my face. And I can only see their silhouettes, all these guys sort of running around and doing stuff. And I sat there, and then just before the race ended, I thought, well, geez, I hope I didn't bugger up the engine because I had the thing wide open, like when I shut it off. And so I thought, I'll just fire it up and make sure everything's okay. Hit the ignition, and I guess when I had shut it off, of course, it was wide open. So those pipes were full of fuel, and they exit out the passenger door, which was facing the grandstand. I turned it on, and it was like about 5, 6, 8 foot flame came out the side of there, and all of a sudden all these guys are are screaming at me to shut it off, and they all started scattering and running, and the one guy comes over and tells, shut the car off, and I shut it off. What's the problem?
Fireworks.
Exactly. I was sitting right in the middle of their fireworks display. That was the 4th of July weekend. I mean, we had our long weekend before that, so I didn't even realize it, but I'll tell you what, I never went for a weekend where I didn't do something stupid, I'll tell you that.
I promise you, the only reason why I said that so fast is because of my boss this year on the fireworks show. We had the sprint cars there, and they set an alcohol drum, like, right there at the tech shed. Well, just the side of the tech shed is where we shot our fireworks, and thank God my promoter, Donna Parker, looked over and said, you boys might want to move that. We'd have had it loaded ourselves.
I was just disappointed I didn't set them off.
That's a great
Canadian.
This story leads me to my next question. What was your most embarrassing move at the track? What's the one thing you want to forget?
Oh my God, you don't have a long enough show, Steve.
Top 10.
Well, between that and that damn tire, that would have been about a topper for me. I don't know. I don't want to forget the fireworks. I'm only embarrassed I didn't set them off. I really wish I had them. But that's about it. I've done some bonehead stuff.
They should have had a check tire light in there on your dash.
Tell you what, 6 pounds is just a little bit too low. 8 pounds is probably it. But no, I think that very, very first heat race I ever ran on dirt, and my brother had warned me because I'd never worn a full face helmet, and of course you gotta with all the crap coming in through the chicken wire. So he said, when you put on the helmet, that shield's gonna fog up. So crack your visor, leave your visor cracked till you get her going, and once you're going, and the air will circulate, it'll go away. Don't worry about it. It won't fog up. Just reach up and snap it shut, but don't forget to do that. Okay. So we're out there in that first heat race, and, of course, I got to start at the back because that's the first night I've been there. And track's really heavy at the beginning of the night, so you're getting pelted pretty good. When they threw the green, I thought, oh, my God, that stuff came through that chicken wire like it was ridiculous. And of course, that's what reminded me. Oh yeah, shut the visor. I got a face full of mud, and I shut the visor, and by the time I come out of 2, I couldn't see anything. So I reached up to grab the tear off and tear it off. Well, yep, tore them all off. Now I got no tear off. The visor's all mud. And I was, okay, this is how you learn.
Yep.
So nobody told me that stuff.
There's always a moment driving home from the track where you kind of nod your head and go, I'll remember that next time.
Yeah. Well, that night that I hit the guardrail and I broke my hand, like I broke the 4 fingers, but the little guy blew apart lengthwise. I don't know why. It's still got a couple of screws in there and I can't move it, but I just said to my buddy, I'd never been in so much pain. They kept trying to make me, like the ambulance said, you have to go to the hospital. I said, no. I've heard the stories about American hospitals. I don't have $1 million. I'm going to wait till I go home. And they argued for like 20 minutes, and they said, you have to go. And I said, I don't have to do anything. And they said, well, then you're going to have to sign the waiver that you said you're not going to go. We told you to go. You got to sign this waiver. So they gave me the clipboard and the pen. I looked at them and I said, how the hell can I sign it? My hand's broken, for God's sake. So
oh, really?
I made it. I made an X with my left hand, and just looked at the guy that was helping me out with the car, and I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to the front stretch. I'm going to the main grandstand. They sell beer over there because I am in
there you go.
Right now. So I said, you get the tow truck guy to lift up what's left of this car and just drop it on the trailer, tie it down the best you can, and when you're done, you can come and see me. And I went over to that main grandstand, and I must have drank a dozen beers within an hour. I was feeling no pain at all. And then I drove home.
That's a racer right there, Steve. That's old.
Yeah, buddy. If I can't turn laps, I'm popping tops.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, he drove us home.
I used to have a buddy of mine. I mean, he'd start drinking as soon as he signed in. He'd start hiding beers and sucking on beers. And he had written up on the inside of his trailer, it said, "We ain't leaving till we're heaving." And that was pretty much how he raced. And,
oh, boy.
Never saw him stagger or anything. But, God, he'd drink a case of beer during the night.
My buddy drove us home that night.
I want to be on the track with.
I was like, my buddy drove us home that night, and he was going to take me to the hospital on the way home because we had to go right by it anyway. So I had a couple for the road, but we got to the hospital probably 2:30 in the morning, and they do the normal stuff at the hospital where you're going to sit and wait for like 2 or 3 hours, and then it was okay for the first hour, but then that beer wore off. I was in so much pain with that hand of mine. And 3 hours later they came, and then the doctor finally looked. They x-rayed it. They looked at it. He said, "Well, you got to have surgery. You can't do anything with that. That bone is in a million pieces, so you got to have surgery on that." But the surgeon's, our surgeon's not here. It's a weekend, buddy. He says, "You won't be back till Monday, so we can wrap that up." But I mean, by then that beer had completely worn off, and now I had a hangover and a broken hand. So I was maybe not the best way to do it unless you can continue drinking.
If I had a hangover and a broken hand, I'd go ahead and get dressed for church because I know it was Sunday morning instead of Saturday night.
Oh my gosh!
And we were telling stories about the driver that drinks a lot. I got another one for you. I ain't gonna mention his name because, well, some bitch knows where I live, so I ain't gonna tell you who he is, but he was really hot-headed, and we were racing at Southern National Motorsports Park, as a matter of fact, and he hit somebody and spun him out, so the track officials made him go to the back of the pack, and this did not sit well with him at all. He was pretty mad, so he took a lap or two to think about it, and come around on the one-to-go lap, stopped his car right on the start-finish line, and he had already undone his belts, climbed out of the car, unzipped his fire suit, and peed on the start-finish line. That night, he rode out in handcuffs in the back of one of them cars with a blue light on top of it. But this is how this boy was. And he was a trip without a suitcase, I tell you.
Oh boy, there's some good ones.
I tell you, you can find them anywhere, but they're one of the things that make racing exciting.
It is.
That's right, Steve. So, Tim, do you still come to the States to race a little bit, or you just race around Ontario?
Yeah, this series, it's actually an American series, believe it or not. We're just the Canadian leg of it. They've got 3 more divisions down south, I guess Florida and Georgia, and then one up in North Carolina, I think. And in the wintertime, we can go down and run with them. We're all running the same cars, so we're welcome to come down and run with them. They run a little bigger engine than we do, but it's more about the fun and stuff. And I've gone down to Georgia. I think it was some little track down there. It was kind of neat. What the hell was? Oh, it was Watermelon Capital Speedway or something. And they had a big pig roast that night and everything else. It was a lot of fun. But I guess they've got a car count problem, and they're kicking themselves. They can't figure out how we can have 25 to 30 guys in our series, and they're having trouble getting, hanging on to like 12 or 14 cars. And I tried to explain to them. I said, well, you got the same problem we have up here with hockey, where you go down south and racing's the sport, and your kid's going to get into it, and you want to keep pushing your kid along like what's his face, Greg Alden, right? So when I was down there running at New Smyrna, He was, I think, about 8 years old or 10 years old or something at the time. And, you know, his dad just bags of money, just walks over and thinks he can put his kid in one of our cars. And I just said, sorry, no, that's not happening. And, you know, they just got, I told him, you're not running my car. I said, you go talk to the John Litchinger. He runs the whole show. And because you need approval to run the cars, and you can't just buy your way in. If I wanted to give it to you, I still couldn't. But and I don't want to give it to you. So he buggered off and he talked to somebody else. But the kid, you know, Gray never got into a car, so he was running those little Legend cars or whatever. But
all right, Tim. Well, we moment. Take some time and give a shout out to anybody you want to recognize. Your family, friends, crew, whoever.
Well, of course, I got to recognize my crew, and that's Samantha, Taylor, and Cameron, my daughter. And, of course, the Nicholsons who run the show in the Pro Challenge Series, and the guys that help out, the other drivers. And we got to go for SunSource, of course. We got to keep that name out there. And anybody got any hydraulic issues, give me a call. We'll help you out best we can. But, well, thanks for having me on, bud.
Let everybody know how they keep up with you on social media.
Yeah, we'll be digging at each other.
Well, glad to have you in my group, NASCAR and Other Racing. And folks, if you ain't in the group, you ought to join it. Me and Tim getting a lot of competitive conversations, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on the show, bud. It was real good talking to you.
Nice to meet all of you, and hope you guys all have a good throwback weekend this weekend, and throw some back for me.
There you go. Next time you're in Tim Hortons, get me something.
You bet. Maybe even a coffee, too, if I don't get slapped for trying to get you some.
There you go. I'll talk to you later, bud.
Okay, you take care.
You
Bye-bye.
too. All right, rolling right along. This next gentleman is somebody I enjoy talking with. He has real good, in-depth opinions about short track racing and how short track racing's going and where it's heading and everything. The gentleman's name is Wayne Goss. He's a past track champion at Southern National Motorsports Park, and I hate to hear it, but he's retiring. And Wayne, you with us?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Good deal. This is going to be interesting because you hear from all these other drivers we've had on how they got started in racing and how you get started in racing. So tonight we're going to find out how you end racing, how you get out of racing. So what's it like, Wayne? How do you feel about retiring and hanging up your helmet?
Well, it's a big lump in the throat, you know.
Yeah, I bet.
When you do it all your life, you know. I've been doing it for years. I mean, my dad was racing back with Dale Earnhardt down at Concord, and back when I was crawling, you know, and I grew up nothing but racing, and I know nothing but racing. And just to walk away from it's going to be pretty tough, you know. Yes, I still own 4 cars and still got a bunch of stuff, but, you know, I mean, it's still, you know, I mean, it's all for sale, and I'm going to sell it, and I'm just going to kick back. I'm getting too old, and, you know, these young kids are going in there and just putting a whipping on me, and, you know, they get out jumping up and down, and they're happy, and I'm looking for oxygen, you know. So I just think it's time to start, you know, looking at my age and saying, hey, you know, maybe it's time just to kick back and start watching all of this, and you know, there's so much more going on with the sport that is struggling, you know, and the more it struggles, the less enthused I am personally, you know. I mean, I was telling a young man at the track last Saturday night that, you know, I was giving it up, and he said, why? And I said, well, there's a difference here. I said, this is your second year in this. I said, you've been racing for 2 years, period. I said, you're still new, fresh, bright, can't wait to get to the track on Saturday night. I'm old, wore out, tired, and it seems to be more of a hassle than it is, a game. And I just, yeah, it's hurting my feelings. Don't get me wrong. I'm really, dreading when these cars sell because I'll not go buy another one. I'll be done. And so yeah, it's going to be a sad time, and I've had a few things to happen in the past few days that's made me question my situation or my decision. One is my 9-year-old daughter. She had brought up the fact that she wanted me to race, and I said, man, this is going to make it tougher, and I asked her, I said, well, why? What is the reason why? Why you at 9 years old want me to race? And she said, because, Dad, that's all you do and that's all you love. Not as far as a person, but she, as far as what I do. She said, and I hate to see you stop. And I said, it's just time, and I mean, it is. And I think the future of short track racing here in eastern North Carolina is getting dim. I mean, it's no one's got the money anymore. There's definitely no sponsors out there. You can forget finding a sponsor. And so when you add all of those things together, it spells retirement.
Wow. And you just made something really flash in my head when you said that, Wayne. Why do sponsors need to come and invest in our sport when grandpas and daddies are going to race teams with large amounts of money funding these kids' way? Obviously, it's been such a drastic turn that maybe the sport has really hurt itself by moving towards popularity in auto sports and the marketing drivers. Because, I mean, we just had a 15-minute conversation on the marketing availability of Danica Patrick, and then you see the way that these young kids are groomed, and of course they don't have sponsors. They have somebody picking up the tab. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but at the same time, it does make it a lot harder for the good old boy to get a little bit of service station put on the side of his race car.
Yeah, it does. It does. And if you look around in the garage area in the pits, and I do regularly because, I mean, that's part of it that I pay attention to. I mean, I guess at my age, in the business that I'm in, and I'm in my own business. I've had my own business for years, but when you notice the little things. And when I look around at the cars in the pit area, there's just not a lot of names on the side of these cars anymore, and there's zero on mine. And I mean, not one sponsor. And I won the championship last year. So you would think that somebody would say, hey, look, this is a potential winning team that would bring our name up in interviews and blah, 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 get aboard. But nothing, not even a phone call, So, I mean, yes, it's nice to have these young kids to be able to go wherever they want to go and have the funding and do what they want to do. But I believe overall it's probably hurt. It's hurt some of the, the short tracks, realistically it has. I think so. But, it's just difficult nowadays. You just can't afford it anymore.
Right, and you have to look back at what drives the cost of racing so high, and then we've got to look right in the mirror and realize it's me and you.
Yeah. So
how do you even fix that? Because I mean, it's the competitiveness behind it. Even though we're on the media side of it, we have people we compete with every day. We have to make our product better than theirs, and it's the same way on the racetrack, and We've just outbought ourselves. That's what's come down to it.
That's exactly right. I mean, if you want to get down to the brass tacks of it, I'll start with one class. I'm just throwing a class out there now, just to be not picking on any particular class, but this U-Car program. I don't know if you know what that is. The U-Car program, it's a little front-wheel drive, nothing to it. Little front-wheel drive car supposed to be off the highway. Caraway had a great program when they first started that. It just, you knock the windows out, weld the doors up, and let's go racing. And sometimes they would turn you around and go the other way, just to make sure you didn't do a setup on your car. But it went from that, $700, $900 car to nowadays, these guys is $10,000 in a U-Car. And
we call them hot shots and stingers.
Yeah, I mean, we bought ourselves out of it. It's not U-Cars anymore. It's 4 cylinders. It's front-wheel drive. It's mini stocks that are front-wheel drive. And we kind of bought ourselves out of that program. And then when you get down to it, I've been racing at this one track I'm running at now since 94, 95, so, and we're racing for the same money we did in 95. The purse is basically the same. We're not getting any more money, but we're sure spending more money. So it makes it difficult on the pocketbook. It makes it difficult on the racer that's planning on running in the future. Everybody has to make so much more money, to just make their cars run every week.
Do you think
that's
Wayne?
The thing,
sorry, Steve, I got
actually, do you know what U-Car stands for? You can afford racing. That's the way they were set up. Like you said, to be a $700 or $800 race car that didn't break the bank to race, and now it's, you're racing people that are reading the page of stock car products shop catalog.
That's right. And it's a shame because, even in the late models, it's the price has gone so much out there that, your late model drivers are either sticking, they got plenty of money and sticking to the Tour Series, or they're going short tracks and not running at all.
Yeah, that's what Tim, our last guest, was saying. Guys were amazed that they would have 25, 30 cars show up for a race in his class. Well, the next closest racetrack might be 4 hours away. And here where I'm at in central North Carolina, there's 10 asphalt racetracks less than 3 hour tow from where I'm at. You just got so many more tracks that it spreads all the cars out, and you just don't. I don't think anybody's getting a full field. They're spread out so much now.
They are, and the rules at each track are different, so no one's working together. So no one can leave one week and go to another track and then leave from that. And we got the new Carteret County opening up here this coming weekend. It's going to be the first race. So that's another track that's available. So
what do you think of that? So much, you think it's the right time to be opening a new racetrack?
I think it's an idea for them to get a feel for what they're going to be seeing in the future. Basically, with the exception of Robertsonville, East Carolina Speedway, with the exception of them running Saturday night, there's really nobody running this weekend. So it's a situation they can feel out and see what they got for next year. I don't think that, from my understanding, I don't think they're going to be running a weekly racing series. I think they're going to be running from time to time. Which is, I don't know that any racetrack, any short track right now, that is looking to have a full field of cars in every class. I don't think there is a racetrack right now in Eastern North Carolina that can support a weekly racing series. It's just not enough cars anymore.
And it's hard to get competitors to come to your track. You got to offer them something. When I owned a late model team, we would run on Friday nights, but instead of going to Speedway in Burlington, which was about a 45-minute tow from my shop, I would tow 2.5 hours to outside Emporia, Virginia, home of Elliott Sadler,
Yes,
and run a track up there, Southampton Motor Speedway, because Southampton Motor Speedway paid more money to start than any other track did. And if you finished in the top 10, you made enough money to pay your tire bill. When you went to the other track, you had to finish in the top 3 or 4 to make enough money for your tire bill. And they didn't have any problem on Friday night drawing a field of cars simply because they paid good.
Yeah. And you probably got paid when you left. You didn't have to wait a week or two for your check. And some of these folks now are mailing the checks out, and you know, I think East Carolina still pays when you leave that night. But you know, a lot of these tracks are, you know, they're mailing checks, and they're, you know, and that's fine. It's a business. I understand that. But you know, it's the racer who is racing for fun, doesn't have sponsors. You know, some of them I've known back in the day. I'm not going to call any names because I think you and I both know them, Steve. But I mean, they go to the racetrack and spend their work money, thinking that, you know, when they finish in the top 3, they're going to get their work money back, and then they go home for the weekend. You know, so if you got $300 to your name and racing is that important, you go race. At the end of the night, you win $300. You don't want to wait 2 weeks to get it. You want to get it right then because you just spent your bill money. You know, I mean, that's the way it used to be racing back in the day when everybody was, you know, racing on a budget. You spend your bill money to go racing because it's such a drug, you know, and then you would get paid that night before you leave. You know, I mean, but nowadays, you know, they mail them out, and people, you know, people just struggle nowadays, you know. And then for me, I don't know that it's worth it anymore. You know, I would love to do it. I still think I can wheel a race car, you know. I never said I was the best at anything, but I still think I can wheel one of them. But
absolutely.
You know, I mean,
but you talk about the way these tracks are about paying nowadays. NASCAR has a rule in the rule book that says you have to get paid after the race that night. But if you're not dealing with a NASCAR sanctioned track, that's not even considered. Back in my day, everybody paid you that night after the racing was over, and a couple of them paid you in cash. It'd be an envelope with 20s, 5s, and 10s in it. They'd pay you right out from the gate money, but they had to pay cash because nobody would take a check from them because they bounced so many of them before. But you got paid every night. You went home with your money. The exception was telling them where to mail it and letting them mail it to you. And hell, I'd go to South Carolina and race in Summerville, get paid, and go right to the grocery store and buy some groceries and cash that check so they couldn't stop payment on it by Monday. It was back in the day, but you got paid. You came home with your money.
Yeah, I think all tracks should pay you that night before you leave, and it just makes it easier for folks who don't have money, you know. And I don't know. I mean, you need it. You need it to go buy this or buy that, or you know. I mean, it's just the way it goes with racing. What you win, you spend on the car most of the time, and you hope you don't go out there and tear them up. Now, I've been fortunate, thank God, that in the past 3 seasons of late model racing, so far, with the exception of 2 cars at Dillon, South Carolina in 2 years, but at Southern National so far, I haven't been in a wreck bad enough to you know, to knock the nose piece off of it. You know, and that's saying a lot. In 3 seasons of racing late models, I haven't tore up a nose piece yet. You know, so I ripped the fender off one night, but you know, I mean, they're plastic anyway, but I mean, it's when you go out there and race and you don't tear nothing up, you can go back next week without spending a bunch of money, and you're fortunate. You know, there's some guys out there that tears them up every time they show up, but I've been fortunate enough. I guess, you know, the more you run up front, you know, the less likely that's going to happen. You know, but it just costs. It costs so much. That's why tracks are struggling. You know, that's one of the reasons, and you know, promoting, that's another reason. You got to promote. If you don't promote, you can't get cars. If you don't get cars, you can't get the fans. You can't get fans, you might as well shut the track down. You know, I mean, there's so much to this sport that people are overlooking nowadays. There's no camaraderie. You know, nobody's helping each other if something goes on. You know, everybody, this is a hate world now. This is not a love world like it used to be. It's a hate world. And so when you get to the racetrack, the guy that you hung out with last year and go out on a Wednesday night and have a drink with, when you get to the racetrack this year, you pure can't stand to talk to him, and you got to wreck each other. You know, but it's just a hate world. And so there's nobody helping anybody. There's nobody trying to do this. There's nobody, you know, wanting to promote the track themselves. You know, I tell every single person I see, man, y'all got to go out to Kenley Saturday night. You got to go watch this race, man. We need the fans. You need to go watch. You know, I tell everybody, you know, because I want it to succeed. I mean, this is the sport that I grew up to love. And even though that I'm retiring and going to step out of it, it still doesn't need to shut down and all. I don't want it shut down. I want to go over there on Saturday night and watch or go help somebody or whatever the case may be. But promoting anymore, it's like they spend a few bucks on it and it doesn't work and they panic and they don't spend anything else. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to make racing better. I don't know what the answer is to make fans get in the stands. I really don't. I mean, it's just now it's the kids they're not as interested as when we were kids. You know, so is the parents struggling to say, hey, kids, come on, we're going to the racetrack. I don't want to go. You know, I mean, what can we do to get the kids to want to come so the parents can go? I mean, that's just so much out there right now that we're just overlooking.
Yeah, there's no rivalries, any great rivalries between drivers anymore. Everybody's kind of stuck off by themselves, and there's definitely no camaraderie at the track anymore.
Well,
to tell you how bad that is, I'd go to the track with my car, and I'd go up in whoever had their parts trailer there, and everybody pretty much ran the same spark plug in late model stock motors because they were all pretty much the same compression and everything. Well, I'd go into parts trailer, and I'd buy all the spark plugs they had. I might walk out of there with 9 or 10 boxes of spark plugs. But by golly, if you fouled the plug that night, you were going to have to hunt for a damn spark plug. I was going to make sure you couldn't go buy one. I would buy carburetor jets, 74 through 76, if that's what we were using. I'd go in the parts trailer and buy all of them.
Yeah,
and that's how far away the camaraderie got to where it got more like you win at all costs. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just not there anymore. I mean, you go out there and you try to do the best you can. You win. You run good. You know. I mean, but see, I personally I want to help people. I don't know if I'm a dying breed. I mean, I think there's probably 50% out there. Half the people do and half the people don't. But I want to help somebody. I mean, if I got a problem, you know, I mean, I want somebody to at least come over to me and say, hey, man, what can I do to help you get it back going or whatever? And I want to do that to those folks, you know. So, but because I go for the enjoyment of being there, and I guess because I'm old, you know, I've done it so long. Yes, I do want to win every single week. Don't get me wrong, but it's more of just being there for me, and I think we've lost a lot of that, you know. And there's a lot going on right now in the racing world, in the short track world, that is very difficult to get that kind of situation back where everybody wants to go race. I mean, it's just not happening nowadays. I don't know what to do to fix it either.
No, that's, you know, my conscience told me, you know, help this guy out. Try to help him run better and everything if they come up and ask you, you know, something. But the way I was trained by Harry Hyde was, you don't tell somebody else how to beat you. He said, you don't give all that information away.
Yeah,
and Tim Shanahan, that was on before Wayne, was talking about he didn't know what air pressure to run. And he went and asked another team. Well, hell, if you came and asked me what air pressure I'd run, not only would I tell you the air pressure, but I'd tell you what stagger to run, too. None of it would work at a track. It would throw you off so far you couldn't turn left in 10 acres. But that's just the way I was, you know. I wasn't going to tell anybody how to outrun me. And I hate racing got that way, and I hope it swings back. I hope it was just a temporary deal.
Well, right now, it's the short track world is so down. I mean, each track around here, I've been to all of them, you know, here, you know, in the past few weeks and months. You know, you're getting 6 late models, 8 late models. You know, you're getting, you know, 10 U cars, 12 U cars, tons of legends, tons of bandoliers, you know, but you just don't have the field. I mean, Ron Barfield's got a great program, Ron, and Mike Bushy. Those guys got a great program with that Mass series, that traveling street stock series seems to be a big hit around here right now. And, you know, there's a lot of guys that are building those cars and running those cars. And look, the talent level in those guys, man, you know, you got Greg Barnett who can wheel a car anytime he wants to, Jonathan Carnegie. I forget the name of this kid that won Saturday night in the 75 Monte Carlo. I mean, just to drive the wheels off of one, you know, but that's a good series, you know, but there again, guess what it is? It's a traveling series. You know, the same thing with the cars or the pass. They're traveling series. They draw good crowds when they go, but there's nothing to stay at the racetrack to make the people want to come week in and week out. You know, and there's, like you said, there's really no rivalry, so there ain't nobody beating on each other. It's kind of follow the leader kind of thing. And, you know, I've had some friends of mine say they wasn't going back because it's the same show week in and week out. You know, but I don't know. We need more car count. You know, and I don't know that the purse is the right way to go. Some people say, well, if you put the purse out there, the cars will show up. I mean, you would have to get stupid purses. Can't just raise it from 1,200 to 1,500. You're not going to get the car count. You're going to have to raise it from like 1,200 to 3,000 or 1,200 to 4,000. You know, if you do that for late models, you're going to probably have 25 or 30 late models every week. If you're going to run 4,000 or 5,000 to win, you have plenty of late models. You know, but the money for the owner, the track owner, is probably not there. You know, I mean, he would have to really go in debt for 5 or 6 months to make that work. You know, to get that car count back where, in my opinion, it should be. But then, you know what happens then? Once you do that and you throw that purse out there, you start killing these other little moms and pop tracks. You know, because they can't afford to throw that out there, so now they're shutting down, and then that little track shuts down, and before you know it, you know, I mean, for that one owner, he's sitting on high cotton because he's got all the cars now. But there's just not enough cars. Yeah, there's not enough cars out here right now to go supply all these tracks that you were talking about within, 2 or 3 hours of you. You know, I'm sitting here right now, where I'm at in Goldsboro, North Carolina, a place where dreams never come true. I'm an hour and 45 minutes from Dillon, hour and 45 minutes from East Carolina, 2 hours from South Boston. I'm 12 miles from Southern National Speedway. I'm 45 minutes from Wake County Speedway. Look, Elm City, if I want to go dirt, I'm 20 minutes from Elm City. I mean, I'm right here surrounded by racetracks. Fayetteville. You know, the dirt track in Fayetteville. I can be there in 1 hour. I mean, I'm surrounded by racetracks. Carteret, 2 hours. That cars just can't be spread out enough to go to all these racetracks. And it's sad, you know, and I've heard tell, now I don't know this to be a fact, but I've heard tell that there's another one being built, another round track, asphalt, going to be built in Benson, North Carolina. I mean, and that's... Oh, well. Yeah, there's supposed to be one building being built over there in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't know that to be a fact. I've got a great source that told me that, but, you know, I mean, that's just a lot of racetracks here in this area They're just not the car count for it. So what do we do to fix the problem?
Yeah, I'm surprised they built an asphalt track in Benson, because the big name in racing in Benson is Dunn Benson Ford, that owns and sponsors Earl Pearson Jr. in the World Outlaws late model deal.
Yeah.
So if they're going to put
well, Steve, I mean, if you think about it, you can't really build a dirt track, 30 minutes from Fayetteville. I mean, it's just like Wayne County Speedway when it was up and running. On asphalt, you were 10 minutes from Kenley. Wayne County shut down now.
Yeah.
It just one kills the other, so obviously the right thing to do if you're going to build a round track would be an asphalt, so you have the best of both worlds right there in Dunn Benson and Fayetteville, which is near about the same towns. You do an asphalt track, so, and if anybody's building an asphalt track, the best thing to do is build a high bank. I mean, get the cars out there. It's like, Southern National Speedway was built and designed for super late models. Guess what doesn't run at Kenley? What does not run at Southern National Speedway? Super late models. It was built and designed for super late models. I mean, but we don't have them. I mean, that track used to thrive. I mean, it was Randy Renfro come out there with that R2, man, and just smoke the field with that car, And I mean, Clay Jones come out there with his super late model and put a whooping on them from time to time. I mean, we used to have some great racing over there. But I think it goes back to, I mean, if you want to go back to a starting point, Charlie and Mike Lamb, they had a good program going. They were pretty smart with it to make sure everybody's happy. In January, we'd go to Bill Ellis Barbecue, and we'd sit down there, and the drivers would make the rules. Yeah. Now that's not happening. The track owners are making the rules, and the drivers can't afford what the track owners are doing. So the car count falls. And we used to go every single year to Bill Ellis, and we'd sit down. Every class would be there at a certain time. You'd get 1 hour, and all the drivers amongst that class would talk like we got some sense and say, look, man, no, the street stocks don't need a 9-inch Ford rear end. Let's just run street stock like we used to, put a good hard axle on the right rear. Let's go race. And the drivers and the people that's spending the money would make that happen. And then when we get out there, we'd have 25 street stocks. And then the 4-cylinders. What do we want for 4-cylinders? What do we want for the mini stocks? Well, we want all of this. All of them get together and say, yeah, sure, let's do it. Then they all go home. They spend the money where they want to spend it. Or most likely, I'm going to say this, I've been over there probably 50 times, and I'm going to say that, we didn't make a $200 change most years. I mean, the street stock class, when I was running street stocks years ago, the rules stayed the same just about every year. So the car count could climb because the rules stayed the same. But now the street stocks are running the crate motors, the 4-speeds, the 9-inch Fords. The motors are sit back in the cradle. You cut out the cross member for the fuel pump. That's a super stock. I mean, it's the old street stocks where they had 25 and 30 cars week in and week out. Those cars are gone. They can't keep up anymore. So how are we going to fix this with late models? The reason why you don't see street stocks, you go buy $12,000, or you go buy a street stock car right now, you're going to spend $12,000 if you want a good one. A good one. You can buy a turnkey late model for $10,000. You ain't buying a front runner car, but you can spend $10,000 and you be running late models.
Yeah.
That's motor and all. I know where 3 or 4 of them are right now for that kind of money. But why would you go buy a street stock car when you can do that? Why would you buy a $10,000 U car when you can buy a late model? So it's racing is so twisted right now. Nobody knows which way to go.
Yeah, they need to do something to kind of unify the rules and get everybody together. Yellow caution flag. Did you have any of that mass touring series street stocks down there at the big show at Hattiesburg last week? I take it that's a no.
Sorry. Hey, I had it on mute. The what street stocks? Throw them out. Don't throw them over there.
They have a touring series, MASS. I don't know what it stands for.
Mid.
No, we do the
Street Stocks.
Mid-Atlantic Street Stocks. There you go.
We're under the Neesmith Street Stock rules. Most of the guys that come our way, Neesmith has kind of taken over this area, so most of the guys that were running with us were all Neesmith legal cars already. That's the one good thing about the series, I would say, for Crate Lake Model and for the street stocks is it's put everybody on the same rule package, and it's kept everything kind of at an even pace. It's still inexpensive. Inexpensive. It's still very expensive. The top-notch cars are running, they're $25,000, $30,000 cars. There's $5,000 cars out there racing with some of these guys that, have showed competitiveness at some racetracks, but not all. Most of them are back-of-the-pack guys. It goes back to what's the best thing for racing right now. And we've had this guy on from last week, the IMCA guy, and it doesn't sound like they have any problems getting cars over there. So, and it seems to be that all those tracks are IMCA tracks. On our own personal behalf, Hattiesburg Speedway is the only weekly racetrack in the state of Mississippi. We race weekly every Friday night. We're Mississippi's only Friday night action track. But it's very hard to be the only track that races weekly because then you're dealing with a lot of tracks who are running once a month or twice a month, and they're trying to make big races to make twice the money that they would be making from running weekly races. So they stack up on top of us. They offer bigger purses, and they lure more cars, which takes away from our house cars. So there's definitely problems there, Wayne. I think that you've got a really good perspective of what's going on, and I honestly feel like you're probably next step's going to be in the promoting side. I would hire you as a promoter, that's for sure.
Well, that's nice of you to say. I just think that there's some situations out there that can make things happen. The thing is we gotta start somewhere. You can't go from week to week and just let it ride. Because at some point it's going to ride itself out. So you got to start. If it were me, the first thing I would do is I would call a meeting for every class I have. I say, look, man, what's it going to take to get everybody here so we can go racing? And just find out what they want. What is the problem? What can we do to help fix this situation to get you on my racetrack? And then listen to them. Don't talk over them. Talk down to them. Listen to them. Take notes. Write it all down. Come up with the best solution, and then start from there. But, the track owners and promoters now, they've got their own ideas, and sometimes it doesn't work. And the bottom line about it all is your racer is the one putting on the show, not the track owner, not the promoter. Your racer, your car is putting on the show. So you got to figure out as a promoter or a track owner, what can I do to put those cars there? You ain't got to go out there and get stupid and make bad decisions and cost your track, money or whatever. Make it work for somebody. Put it out there. Make it work.
That track I was talking about up outside of Emporia, they did that. They asked, late model drivers, what can we do? What would it take to make you come here week after week? And the consensus was, have the total purse the same, but pay the winner less and pay more to start. At the time, tracks were only paying $75 or $100 to start a race. Yeah. Well, they paid $200 to start a race. So it made it worth your while. You'd at least get your gas money if you showed up and tried. And the dude that was winning the races generally had good sponsorship and money was good. So you could cut the winner's purse out and transfer that money to the back of the pack. And it wasn't hurting anybody, and it was helping those guys running the back of the pack.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
You know, I'm a big believer. Yeah, sit down with all of them and have a round table discussion. You know, what's good? What do we need to work on? What's it going to take to make you come back? That's the best way, and then listen to what they're saying.
Yeah, listen and then do something. You know, just don't say, hey, that sounds good, we'll talk about it. You know, do something. Make it happen. Figure out some way for, you know, the little guy to say, hey, man, my wife is not going to shoot me for coming over here Saturday night and spending my $300, you know, I mean, because I'm gonna get most of it back. You know, I can start in the rear and I can get most of it back. I'm still here and I can still run, and you know, we got to figure out a way to do that. You know, I mean, because even in I spend an average of, you know, $500 to $700 every Saturday night. That's an average.
Yep.
You know, I mean, Green Flag pays $50. You know, I mean, $50. If I was to go out there and take the Green Flag and park it, I got $50 a month. You know, that's just that. You know, it's not there anymore. So how
that wouldn't
can we
even buy you breakfast at Big Boy's truck stop.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we go over to Big Boy's and it's just enough to get a buffet over there on, you know, Saturday night after the race is over. But you just can't. You can't continue week in and week out to say, hey guys, we're not doing this anymore. You just can't do it. I mean, you got to at some point stop and listen. You know, I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on Saturday night that most guys don't understand. You know, most people, they sit in the stands and they watch. They don't realize what's going on in the tower and the officials and all of that. There's a lot to it. But if you don't slow down enough to listen to your drivers and let them make sense, just listen. Even if he's wrong, listen. And then at the end of the day, or at the end of the conversation, come up with a logical, you know, excuse or a logical situation that, you know, to make it right and fix it. You know, but it's just not happening. You know, John Big, I believe his name is John Big, over at East Carolina. I mean, he shakes everybody's hand when they get there, and he shakes everybody's hand when they leave. You know, I mean, class act guy. You know, they just got a good program over there. But for me personally, it's a long haul, and my wife and daughter can't go. You know, they're not going to go sit all day, morning to dark, and waiting on me to race. But at Southern National Speedway, 12 miles away, I can call my wife and say, hey, we're the third race, and she could show up right before the third race and watch me race and go home. So as a personal deal for me, it's easier for me to run Southern National. You know, so even though some of the program at Robertsonville, you know, Robertsonville's paying good just to take the Green Flag. You know, and you know, so do I mess with that? No, I retire just like I always thought I was going to do and say I'm not messing with it. And you know, it's just too much of a haul. I don't have the manpower, don't have the sponsorship, don't have the money to buy the two new, two used. You know, it's just too much. It's with this economy and just too much. So we all as a racing community, we all got to figure out what to do to fix every problem, and it's just not going to happen. I just don't see it happening in the next 5 to 10 years. You know, a lot of these tracks are going to start suffering, and they're going to go down, and then they're going to end up looking like Wayne County Speedway over there with trees growing in their pits. So,
yeah, and that's a sad sight.
It is. It is. I saw some pictures the other night. There's Save Wayne County Speedway on Facebook now, and I saw some pictures. I'm like, I can't believe I raced there, and it looks like that. You know, and I've raced at a lot of racetracks.
Yeah,
and
wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that long ago. I raced at Wayne County. I mean, it was a jammed up little place. I mean, but you know, and all the racetracks that I've raced at, that's the only one that is just it's overrun. I run all the way from Jacks Park Speedway in Jacksonville, Florida, you know, all the way up through Savannah, Georgia, Oglethorpe Speedway. I've run there, you know, right on up South Boston, you know, I mean, all the way up Caraway, Concord, you know, I'm all out through there. Man, I've run just about all of them, and I enjoy all of them. But you just can't, at some point, you just can't say, hey, I'm going to go do this anymore, you know. So, unfortunately, my retirement looks like it's definitely a due and got no choice. So.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. I know you've earned it. And it's always a lot of fun talking to you, Wayne. It's very, always learn something, too. Always get a new outlook on something. So I thank you very much for coming on our show.
Yes,
and what I want to do is, when it gets into the off season, we'll schedule a 2-hour block and we'll just have you on.
Because I can talk forever.
Four of us sit here and talk about racing, and I think we can fill 2 hours up.
I don't. Well, my wife says I talk way too much and I wear out my welcome. So, but I can carry on. So, she actually told me tonight before I even called. She said, "Will you let them talk sometimes?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll try." I don't know. I get carried on. I can't shut up. So, but
yeah, talking about something you love. See, I can fill up 2 hours because I talk so damn slow. I'd say half the words you would say 2 hours.
Well, my wife says I need to calm down, but I get excited. I really do. I get excited because that's just, it's my heart and soul. I love it. And so when I think about things that are just going to work, you know, I get crazy. I get thinking about it. I'm like, you know, this will work if we do that. Or, you know, it's just like a promoting deal I was on last time with you, was talking about all the little things that the track can do to keep the fans happy, because you got to make the fans happy. You know,
yep.
So, I mean, if you don't make the fans happy, they're not coming back. So, I mean,
you better have a large, clean restroom for the women. That is number one.
That's number one. That's number one.
If you want to keep fans coming back, that's what you got to do.
Yep. And there's a lot of things. I mean, if you want to keep the guys happy, have somebody, preferably a pretty little girl, have her around her neck with a little tray and walk up and down the steps selling hot dogs and hamburgers and drinks. Don't make us get up and go get them and miss something. But no one's doing that anymore. I remember back in the day when I was up down at Concord, you know, back in the 70s, you know, they would walk around popcorn, cotton candy, up and down the things. I mean, that's all you heard, but you don't see that anymore. I mean, you know, they walk around with T-shirts of the drivers. Hey, this is so-and-so, you know, you want a T-shirt? And somebody would jump up, yeah, I got to have one of those. You know, so, but there's nobody selling nothing. There's nobody making the fans want to come back. You got to make them want to come back.
Yeah, you got to offer something.
Yeah, it's sad. But anyway, that's another story. I didn't mean to get onto that already. So, but,
we'll save that for the off season. Tell everybody how they can follow you on social media in case they want to join in this conversation and ask you something.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook, Wayne Goss, Goss. You can find me on that. Also, G&S Auto Body on Facebook. I have a page there for just my auto body business, but you can find me there. And you know, if you got any questions or if you want to just cuss me out, you know, just hop on there and let me know what you think, that I might be an idiot or whatever. So I'll listen. I won't get mad at you. So
I've seen some pictures from his auto shop. And the man can paint a car. If you need a car painted, can you do flames?
I have been known to do flames, southern Florida, all the way up to Goldsboro for me just to flame their car out. I've done flames for years.
Well, I have loved flames for years.
I've painted more cars with flames on them than you can imagine. I mean, I've had them come in and just beg for flames, and say now I'm doing a lot of that true fire where it looks like real fire, doing a lot of that, and I do right now my biggest business is the golf cart business. You know, that's a booming world, and I'm painting golf carts about as fast as I can paint them. I'm actually at my shop right now, you know, with the paint booth running in there with golf carts in the paint booth. I'll pull an all-nighter tonight just painting golf carts. And,
damn.
We paint a lot of them. We really do. We paint a ton. I average 10 to 12 golf carts a week, and on average of 4 to 5 vehicles per week. And we do about 3 to 4 restorations per year. I just finished a '68 Camaro that was absolutely beautiful. That car was.
Oh man, is that the silver one or the gray one I saw?
Yeah, the gray with the black stripes. Yeah, that car was hit in the driver's side. He had swerved to miss a deer and hit a telephone pole in the driver's side and killed it and cut it in half. Didn't kill it. He was fine, but everybody cut the car in half, tore it all to pieces, and we cut that car and put it all back together, made one beautiful piece out of it, and didn't charge him an arm and a leg. Which is my motto, is making a living, not a killing. So
there you go.
We just try to get by in life. That's all.
It's a good attitude to have, Wayne. Thank you again for coming on, bud, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Okay, and y'all have a great night, and hope I didn't get on your nerves.
Not a bit, man. We just really like having you here.
Well, I appreciate it.
All right, bud. We'll be in touch. We'll see you.
Y'all be good.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up another show for this evening. Sorry McKenna Hasse didn't get here at the beginning, but like I said, she's just moving off and getting set up in college, so I know how that could be. Anything you want to add, caution flag, before we get out of here?
Not much, Steve. Just see y'all in the same bat time, same bat place.
There you go. CJ, talk to us, bud.
No, I'm just telling them to make sure they check out our latest articles over at the 110nationsports.com site, and make sure they follow us on Twitter at 110nation.
There you go, folks. Get with the program and follow them. And follow me on Twitter at Big Sweat, the NASCAR Heartbreaker and Home Wrecker. And come join my group, NASCAR and Other Racing. The people we had on tonight are group members. The three of us here are group members, and we have a lot of fun, and we have a lot of intelligent and informative conversations, so come see us. Haven't got everybody lined up for next week, so I don't have any idea what we're going to talk about next week, but trust me, we'll find something. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your Labor Day, and we'll talk to you next Thursday. See ya.
Bye.